Welcome to Chris Cast. Today's video is about everyone's favorite Lord of the Rings and SimCity crossover, Dwarf Fortress. Last episode, I compared Dwarf Fortress to RimWorld, its closest competitor as far as AI storytelling games. This episode, I want to dig into a different aspect of Dwarf Fortress, all the other people in the game that aren't the dwarves. More specifically, the other races of people you encounter, like humans. They're sort of self-explanatory. They're us in real life. Elves, they're tall, mysterious forest dwellers who really hate when you sell them wood. Goblins, nefarious little green guys who are sort of the natural enemies of dwarves. And finally, kobolds. These are little stealthy lizard men. They're quick. I want to shout out the mod that made this possible. All races controllable on the Steam Workshop from the username MC. Thank you so much for making this mod. It's really been an awesome experience. Some of my most memorable moments in Dwarf Fortress were encounters with these other groups. For example, like I mentioned earlier, I made the mistake of selling the elves wood. They really hate that. This time, instead of just seeing them during Dwarven life, we're going to make a settlement as each one in-game and see what it's really like on the other side. What's it like living in a world where the dwarves are all making fortresses? Thank you so much for watching. Let's get right into it. First, I generated the world that we would be playing in. I made it as big as possible with the max number of civilizations, but I set the year to very early on. The idea was that filling the world with early stage civilizations, we had the max number of options as who to play, but no one was too strong right off the bat. For example, late in the game, you're going to have wars going on, and I really didn't want our starting civilizations to get caught up in something like that. The first group that I wanted to tackle was the Elves. I settled them along this river. I wanted them to have sort of a foresty vibe that the other races wouldn't. Here they are in their new home along the river. Right away, we're going to notice some major differences between elves and the other groups. The biggest one is their treatment of wood and trees. They seem to see wood as sacred and refuse to damage it in any way. Luckily, the mod author included a really awesome workaround for this. At a carpenter's workshop, you can actually grow wood, and it's sort of an infinite supply of building materials. Really cool. I kind of prefer it to just having people run around chopping trees, just because it's more steady, more consistent. It is a little bit slower than actually having the chop woods command, but it does allow you to not have to worry about trees falling on people, and you could also live in areas that don't have trees, which is a lot of them in the world map. Some more differences I noticed while playing as the elves. They work super fast. Like so fast that sometimes they'll be done with something before I even have the chance to give them new orders. So sometimes they'll just be kind of sitting around waiting for me to do something because I can't click fast enough because they're building beds so fast. It's crazy. As you can see here, they're just zipping around at lightning speed. A couple theories I have are either they are highly skilled because in typical like media, elves live a long time. So maybe they're very knowledgeable right off the bat. Or they're just tall and walk really fast. That's my other theory, because they do seem to be taller than the other races. So maybe that's giving them a natural advantage. Basically, I'm saying the elves are built like gazelles. Other than that, I had a very easy time playing the elves. With our easy access to fishing and unlimited building supplies, we had stability very quickly. At this point, I felt comfortable letting the AI take over this fortress and moving on to our next group, the Kobolds. Here we are at the new Kobold base. These are our little crew of lizard guys. I really love the look of the Kobolds. I'm not sure why, but the sprites for them seem way more detailed than most other creatures in the game. For this base, I'm going for something hovelcore. Basically a little underground hovel. Very cute, very hovelly. But to make my underground base, I had some major challenges when playing as the Kobolds. One, they have no ability to brew drinks, which means we're totally reliant on fetching water or trading for drinks like once a year. So basically these guys are drinking straight from the tap. Another issue I had with the Kobolds, I think they're like the opposite of Elves, where they're really short, they got stubby little arms, and they work really slow. So sometimes I would be waiting so long for them just to get basic projects done, and it could actually get a little frustrating. On the plus side, they do carry a lot of stuff. In the normal game, when it's not modded, they run into your base, pick up as much as they can, and sprint away. So for some reason in the code, they can carry like way more than a normal character. So as you can see, they're dropping a bunch of stuff off all in one go. What's really the scariest part of playing as Kobolds is every single group in the whole world starts as an enemy. So I started enlisting all the citizens in a knife-wielding militia and started training them for war. I'm not sure why every group is hostile to us. I guess they just count as enemies. But look how cute they are. How could you want to hurt these little guys? I trained them as much as I could, but finally, the inevitable came knocking, the Dwarves. It was really surreal being besieged by the characters I usually play as, and they're actually kind of terrifying when you're not playing as them. The Kobolds, they fought valiantly, but the Dwarf invaders were just too strong. I was actually really sad when the last Kobold perished. They really are my favorite little guys, you know? They were just my little buddies. And we just have to mourn them and move on, so let's move on to the humans. Time to check out what most games consider the default characters, humans. For this base, I wanted to do an agriculture-based economy, kind of inspired by rural America. Lots of animals, big farm plots, and an open architecture, a lot of wooden furniture and stuff like that. I spawned in with a pair of dogs that were already trained for hunting, as well as some chickens and roosters. My hope was eventually to have lots of puppies, and they're all adoptable, and that'll really boost the mood of the base. And I also, in real life, I just love eating eggs, so that's why I got the chickens. Overall, this settlement had a pretty standard start. We dug into the mountain, set up our essential services, food, drink, construction. However, while I was excavating the mountain, I accidentally mined into an underground water pool, and it flooded half my base. We were forced to block it off and try to get rid of as much water as we could, as fast as we could. This may seem like a dumb rookie mistake I made here, but usually in Dwarf Fortress, your settlers will automatically stop mining once they hit a wet layer of rock, but for some reason here, they just bursted right through and flooded the whole base. That wasn't going to stop us though. While the first floor is drying off, we set up on a layer of red sand down below, which I think actually looked really cool. Definitely an upgrade from our original design. Other than the flooding, the rest of my gameplay was remarkably smooth. No enemy attacks or strange events happening. I will say that the humans often need reminders of which tasks they had to do. So I do think if you download this mod, just be aware that the AI can be a little wonky at times. We were able to get consistent farming set up and a really poppin' chicken coop. Look at these little guys go. Let's say goodbye to humanity and meet our last civilization, the Goblins. The Goblins, man, they are a rough time to play as. I originally wanted to create a hardcore settlement without a lot of decor and flair and try to play up the bad guy side of things. However, their AI is just not playable. Like the Kobolds, they can't brew drinks, and as an added bonus, they absolutely refused to chop wood. This meant I couldn't make most basic items I needed, and even if we had that, they basically ignored most orders, instead choosing to gather plants exclusively, and sit around brainlessly when they weren't. As you can see here, they're just kind of in a catatonic state when they're not gathering plants. It was just very strange. It was actually kind of disappointing because they were the group I was most looking forward to play as. I love goblins in different movies and cinema, games. I usually play as them if I have the option, and I was really hoping it'd be a little more fleshed out, but it is a mod and it's not going to be perfect. Still, it was cool to at least try, and I'm glad the 3 other civilizations were working. That's going to be all the groups I check out today. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end, and if you enjoyed the video, it means a lot if you liked and subscribed for more videos like this one. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.